Hey everyone, it's Pete Dolliday. Welcome to another edition of Hometown PTBO. Today we're at the Peterborough Golf and Country Club. This is my buddy Michael Stewart, who has quite a story. You got a hole-in-one to tell us about, but first of all, take us back to 10 years ago. I mean, you're kind of lucky to be even sitting here, my friend.
Yeah, 10 years ago, I was a physical education teacher in Toronto, and we were on March break, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning on the Monday, and somebody egged my window, and I ran outside to confront, see who it was, and a minivan drove away from my house. Ran back inside, woke my wife up and said, come outside, clean the window so it doesn't, the egg doesn't harden, and I'm gonna go across to the other side of the street to see if they're gonna come back, because when they left the first time I heard laughing in the minivan, so I'm like, these guys are definitely gonna come back. So I was waiting on the other side of the street behind the post, and they came back, and they are coming really slow, and I stepped out onto the road and put my hand up to get them to stop. At that point, I heard a minivan makes that weird sound when the engine revs when you throw the pedal down.
Yep.
And I was like, no, this isn't gonna happen. And they started driving, and they came across the road. Now, my wife heard the car speed up, so she came out and was seeing what was happening. And they were coming at me, and like at first I kind of froze because I was like, this isn't happening. And then I turned and ran to the curb, and just as I got up on the curb, they came across the street, mounted the curb, and the minivan hit me in my ribs, breaking my L2 vertebrae, and crushing it down so that my the nerve bundle was down to like 1 millimeter. My face hit the window. I had glass in my face. I went over, and I remember thinking, this isn't good. That's the one thought I had, and the one thing that I remember from the accident is like thinking, this isn't good. So I went over the minivan. The minivan continued driving in the direction that they were, and I flipped over with my feet pointing towards the direction they were going. And I don't remember landing. I guess I blacked out a bit. But then I went to get up, and then I realized I couldn't move my legs. I was paralyzed. So I told my wife, who saw it all, went chasing after them. And I was worried. I was like, don't stop. Because if they came out of the minivan and wanted to hurt me more, they would hurt her before they got to me. So she stopped, came back, and I told her, I'm like, listen, it's weird. I said, go in the house, turn off my Xbox, feed the cat, call 911. Like, I was really calm about it. And then the pain really started kicking in, and it was coming in waves. It was in my hips, and it was horrible. The doctor said one of the saving grace was, at the time I was a phys ed teacher, so I was very muscular, good shape, and that helped prevent complete paralysis. And the ambulance.
So how long were you in the hospital for eventually?
Oh God, I was in the hospital from March 14th to April 29th, and then I went to the Lyndhurst Rehabilitation Center till July 17th, where I walked out with the use of ski poles. So I was paralyzed for a couple weeks. Like, when they put me into the ambulance, the only thing I could move was my big left toe. So I had a little bit of hope. When I awoke in the ICU, my wife was there, and I remember asking her, I'm like, did they cut my legs off? Because I couldn't feel anything. And I can't explain like that feeling where you don't, like, to this day I don't have feeling in all of my legs.
Right.
And it was a long process. I was fortunate. My physiotherapist at the time, her husband was the head of my phys ed department. Small world, right?
Yeah.
And she worked with me, and then they got me into Lyndhurst, and I had another good physiotherapist, and she had got me up on my feet, and it was a process. But when I was in the hospital, I had a post-op infection in my back that almost killed me. My back, I have rods in my back from my L3 to my T11, and
how do you get through security at the airport? You must be.
You know what? We actually went to Jamaica, and they can see it. They can see it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't beep because it's titanium.
Okay.
But
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I'm joking a little bit because you and I are friends and stuff, but that's amazing that you got all this hardware in you. You got 10 years. I mean, I imagine you continuously be in a rehab situation, and here you are.
Oh, I use
teeing
golf.
It up.
Yeah.
You use golf as the motivation. I mean, your family too, I'm sure. Your
Definitely.
kids. And
Definitely. But golf was part of my rehab. The insurance company bought me a putting green for my basement. So when I first started golfing, I was trying to golf. I couldn't stand up properly. So I'd stand up, I'd putt, and I'd fall. I'd get up, putt, and I'd fall. And I'd do that 10 times a day.
Jeez.
Then I worked to the point where I could do 10 putts without falling, then 100. And then finally my physiotherapist, when I was strong enough, took me out to the driving range, a double layered 2-story driving range. And one day I lost my balance and I was falling on the second floor and I was going towards the net. Last second I grabbed the net. I almost had like a second accident just because.
You're like a cat.
Oh, that's some 9 lives. I'm very fortunate.
Well, we're fortunate too to have you around. And so let's fast forward a little bit. And here you are, when we were just talking about the other day, that I've never had a hole-in-one, you never had a hole-in-one, and then literally a week later, you got yourself a hole-in-one. Take us back to Saturday.
Well, second tee, I was following up after a nice bogey on one, like I always get.
Yeah.
Take my Kirkland ball out, $1 golf ball, of course, and on the white tees, 147 yards. So I took out my 7-iron, had a nice little 3/4 swing, caught it clean. It was in the air, and my buddy Dick was like, that looks good. And Bobby's like, that's got a chance. And at that point, the ball bounced and started rolling towards the hole, and that's when it disappeared. And I just got on my horse and started riding, just giving her, because like I didn't think I'd ever get one. So it was a moment I won't forget, ever. And this lady was with her son, and they're walking up number 1. And she's like, I don't know what was better, your hole-in-one or your celebration. So like it was just
That's awesome.
a great feeling, like
Yeah.
something I didn't think I'd ever get. So it was crazy that we talked about it the week before when we were playing to have it happen. It was just,
Yeah.
there's a lot of luck involved in a hole-in-one, because I can't say I'm good enough that I was aiming at the pin for it to go in. I was just hoping it hit the green.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh,
We should
thank you.
start talking about winning the lottery next. That's what we should do. But getting a hole-in-one is kind of like winning the lottery a little bit for someone that was thought maybe they wouldn't ever golf again. Right?
I didn't think I'd ever walk again. Like, you have that hope, but
Yeah.
at the time you don't know. You're trying to be, brave for your wife, and my wife was an absolute trooper. She stood by me when I couldn't stand. Like, she was there.
Yeah.
She was my rock. And, I wanted to get better so that we could have a proper life together. And then we were blessed to have 2 kids,
Yeah.
Mary, who's 6, and Christian, who just turned 3. So, like I can't complain. I lost my career though. Like
Yeah.
the
You
accident,
loved and
the
from what
accident
I can
stole my
understand,
career.
your students loved you back as well. You're a very popular teacher, so
I was fortunate. I
yeah.
had good students, a lot of great athletes, because I coached the basketball team and the
Yeah.
baseball team, and I also ran the
was your
student
passion.
council.
Yeah.
So I had good relationships with the students and staff
Yeah.
and my administration. But all of that was stolen from me that
taken
day.
away.
And I worked my whole life to be a teacher. I went from teaching baseball clinics,
Yeah.
martial arts, and then I finally got my dream job teaching phys ed full time, and then like that it was stolen from me.
And the case is still unsolved, by the way, if anyone's interested. They never did catch the people that did it, so that's still a possibility, hopefully. But listen, man, congrats. It's a pleasure to hear your story, especially the hole-in-one part. That's amazing. Well done, my
Thank you,
friend.
brother.
It's Michael Stewart, everybody. You've been watching Hometown PTBO.
Thanks for joining us on this edition of Hometown PTBO, brought to you by Darling Insurance.